The forest fire was dying, leaving the night thick with smoke and glowing embers. The human soldier, Adrian Hale, could hardly breathe as he stumbled through the charred ground. His uniform was torn, his arm bleeding, and in his hand he held nothing but the broken half of a combat blade. He had been separated from his squad hours ago, and every sound around him felt like a threat, yet he kept walking because he heard something, a weak voice, a whisper carried by the wind. He followed it, unsure why, until he reached a crater formed by the crashed enemy pod. Its metal was still hot, cracked open like an egg. Inside, surrounded by burning debris, lay a young alien woman, barely conscious, shaking, terrified. She was wounded, her violet skin pale, and her silver eyes half open. Her royal markings still glowed faintly on her cheek. Even in that ruined state, she carried a strange, fragile dignity. Adrian stopped at the edge of the crater, shocked. This was no ordinary refugee. She was a Xyrillian princess, one of the most protected beings in the galaxy, and now she was trapped, helpless, and staring at him. She whispered again, her voice trembling. "Human?" Adrian tightened his grip on the broken blade instinctively. He was trained to expect ambushes. Even a wounded Xyrillian could be deadly. He stepped closer. Cautiously. "Don't move," he said, trying to keep his voice strong despite the burn in his lungs. She did not move. She only looked at him with desperate eyes. Her body shook as if she was fighting consciousness. "Are you going to end it?" She breathed out. Her words stunned him. He had seen soldiers break, enemies cry, even civilians beg for mercy. But this was different. Her voice carried not fear, but a painful acceptance, like she had already judged her fate. Adrian swallowed hard. "I'm not here to kill you." Her eyes focused on his broken weapon. "Then, free me," she whispered. "Please." "I cannot move." He slid down the side of the crater. The ground was hot enough to burn, but he ignored it. As he approached, he noticed that the metal pieces surrounding her had trapped her legs. The debris glowed faintly, still holding heat from the crash. She must have been in extreme pain. Her chest rose slowly, each breath shallow. She was losing strength fast. "Why were you even in this pod?" he asked, trying to lift a shard of metal. It refused to budge. "Your kind doesn't travel alone." She closed her eyes, struggling to stay awake. "I ran away." His hands froze. "A princess? Running away?" "From what?" "From being used as a symbol," she whispered, her voice filled with bitterness. "My life was chosen for me before I was even born. I only wanted one day of freedom. One day. And then..." She looked at the burning wreck around her. "My ship was shot down. I fell near human territory." "So you called for help?" he asked. "I called for anyone. I didn't think a human would come." A small piece of pride tightened in Adrian's chest. Even now, aliens did not expect humans to show kindness. But he didn't say anything. He focused on pushing aside another piece of metal. His hand burned when he touched it, but he held on, forcing it away until it rolled off her leg. She gasped softly, pain surging through her body. "Sorry," he muttered quickly, kneeling beside her. "I'll get you out." "You are injured," she noted weakly. "Your arm. You are bleeding." "It's fine," he lied. The cut had gone numb long ago, which was not a good sign. He reached for another metal shard. This one was wedged deep. He tried to lift it, but his strength was fading. His breath came heavy as he pressed his shoulder against the debris and pushed with everything he had. The shard moved slightly, but not enough. The princess opened her eyes again, watching him struggle. Her voice was barely more than a whisper. "Human, you don't have to help me." "That doesn't matter," he said, panting. "I'm helping anyway." "Why? You don't even know my name." "I don't need to." She stared at him like he was something unfamiliar, something she couldn't categorize. "Most humans would leave me. Many aliens would leave me too." "I'm not most," he said simply. Her silver eyes softened. It was the first time she looked at him without fear. He pushed again, but the shard refused to move more than an inch. Adrian's tired muscles trembled. His arm throbbed sharply. Still, he kept going. Sweat dripped from his face onto the scorched ground. "Adrian," he muttered to himself. "Come on, move it." She blinked. "Your name?" He didn't answer because he finally managed it. The shard shifted and clattered down the crater floor. Her legs were free now, but badly bruised. She winced as sensation returned to them. "You did it," she whispered, almost in disbelief. Adrian knelt beside her again. "Can you move at all?" She tried. Her whole body tensed. And she gasped, falling back. "No. My spine. I think it is bruised. And my energy glands are empty. I cannot heal myself." "Then I'll carry you," he said. "You cannot," she protested weakly. He ignored her and wrapped one arm under her back, the other under her legs. She was light, surprisingly light for someone almost his height. Her species was elegant and built differently from humans, but he still expected more weight. When he lifted her, her hand instinctively clutched his sleeve. He felt her trembling. "You don't trust me?" he asked softly. "I do," she whispered. "I am just afraid." He nodded. "I get that." As he climbed out of the crater, she clung to him slightly. Not out of fear of falling, but out of the fragile hope that she wouldn't be abandoned again. The forest was dark, lit only by dying flames. Adrian chose a path away from the heat. Each step hurt. But he didn't slow down. The princess rested her head weakly against his shoulder. Her breaths were shallow. Her skin was almost cold. "You need warmth," he said. "Your species doesn't handle cold well, right?" "IFC in the sky." She gave a weak nod. "My name," she whispered, her voice fading, "is Lasara." He looked down at her. "Lasara. All right. Stay awake, Lasara." She forced her eyes open, trying to meet his. "Why are you helping me? Why go this far?" "Because you asked me to free you," he said, "and I chose to." She stared at him for a long moment before whispering, "You were trembling when I asked." "I thought you wanted me to end your life," he admitted quietly. "That's why I hesitated." Her breath hitched. "I was afraid you might choose that. And now I hope you don't." He tightened his hold on her. "I won't." As they moved deeper into the forest, a distant sound echoed growls, shifting branches, the low hum of enemy drones scanning the area. The crash had drawn attention. Adrian needed shelter fast. He spotted an old observation bunker deeper in the woods, abandoned from an old human border outpost. Its roof was half collapsed, but its basement might still be intact. "Hold on," he whispered. She nodded weakly, gripping his sleeve again. He pushed through the brush until they reached the bunker. The entrance was blocked by debris, but a small opening gave access to the lower level. Adrian lowered Lasara carefully through the gap first, then followed her down. The bunker was cold but safe from drones. He laid her on a dusty mattress left behind by old soldiers. She breathed slowly, still fighting consciousness. "Adrian," she whispered. "Yeah? If my people find us, they will think you took me hostage. Then we make sure they don't find us first." She blinked at him slowly. "You are strange. Human. I get that a lot." A faint smile touched her lips, small and weak, yet full of trust. She was still learning to give. As the firelight outside faded and darkness filled the bunker, Adrian sat beside her, guarding the entrance. His broken blade lay beside him, useless as a weapon but somehow symbolic. He had chosen not to harm the alien princess. He had chosen to save her. Lasara drifted into uneasy sleep. Adrian watched her, knowing that saving her was only the beginning. Someone had shot her down. Someone powerful. Someone who would come after her. But no matter who they were, he had already made his choice. He would protect her, even if it cost him everything. The night inside the old bunker felt unnaturally still. Adrian sat against the cold concrete wall, breathing slowly while listening for any sound from outside. His muscles were tired, and the cut on his arm throbbed with a dull ache, but he stayed awake because Lasara lay only a few feet away, trembling in her sleep. Every few minutes she made a soft sound, the kind made when someone tried to hide pain even while dreaming. He glanced at her again. Her silver eyes were shut tight, and her breathing was shallow. She looked fragile in a way he had never imagined an alien princess could be. Carefully, he removed his torn jacket and placed it over her. She shifted slightly, feeling the warmth, and her trembling eased. Adrian finally allowed himself one slow exhale. The danger was far from over. But for now they had a moment of stillness. He checked his gear. Nothing useful remained except a weak flashlight, a damaged communicator, and the broken blade he had kept out of instinct. The communication systems were down, probably jammed by whoever had shot Lasara's pod out of the sky. He couldn't call for help, not that he trusted anyone enough to reveal where she was. Morning came slowly, a thin beam of light slipping through the cracks in the ruined ceiling. Adrian rubbed his eyes and stood carefully, brushing dust from his pants. He stepped over to Lasara and checked her condition. Her breathing had improved slightly, but she was still weak. As he knelt beside her, her eyes opened halfway. She looked confused for a second. Then her gaze softened when she recognized him. "You didn't leave," she whispered. "Of course I didn't," he replied. "You should have. For your own safety." "Do," he shook his head. "That's not happening." She watched him quietly for a moment, trying to read him. "Humans," she whispered softly. "You always do the unexpected. Comes naturally," he said with a faint smile, but she didn't return it this time. Her eyes lowered, and he saw fear in them again, not of him, but of something else. "Lasara," he said gently. "What happened to you up there? Your people don't shoot their own ships, right?" Her hand slowly lifted to touch her ribs, as if remembering the crash. "It was not humans who shot me," she whispered. "It was my own security escort." Adrian froze. "Your own people attacked you? They had orders to stop me from leaving the palace. I escaped. But I never thought they would strike to kill." Adrian sat beside her, stunned. "So, someone wanted you dead?" "No," she said softly. "Someone wanted me controlled. But killing me was still better for them than letting me disappear." He clenched his jaw. "Someone with a lot of power." She nodded slowly. "My mother is the Empress. Many expect me to rule after her. They do not want someone with my beliefs on the throne." "Beliefs?" Adrian asked. She closed her eyes again, remembering. "I believe our empire cannot survive by looking down on others. I believe humans deserve respect, not fear or hatred." Adrian didn't know what to say. It was strange hearing that from a princess he had never met until last night, but something in her voice told him she meant every word. Before he could answer, a faint noise echoed through the bunker, a soft mechanical hum. Adrian immediately grabbed his blade and crouched low. He signaled her to stay quiet. She nodded weakly. He approached the entrance carefully. Through the cracked wall he saw a small drone floating past the trees, scanning the area. Its blue sensor light swept across the ground, illuminating the burned forest. Adrian held his breath, waiting. The drone paused, hovered, then moved away. He didn't relax until it was out of sight. Returning to Lasara, he whispered, "They're searching for you." "I feared that," she said softly. "They will not stop. Then we need to move before more drones show up." "I cannot walk," she reminded him. "I'll carry you again," Adrian said without hesitation. Lasara looked up at him, her expression a mix of surprise and quiet gratitude. "You are already hurt." "I've carried heavier," he said with a shrug, though he knew it wasn't completely true. But he wasn't going to leave her here to be captured, or worse. He helped her sit up slowly. She gasped when her legs shifted, but she held onto his shoulder for support. When he lifted her in his arms again, she clung to him lightly, her fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt. "Are you ready?" he asked. She nodded. "I trust you." He felt something tighten in his chest at those words. They moved through the forest cautiously. Adrian avoided open areas, staying close to thick brush and fallen trees. Lasara rested her head against his shoulder, conserving her energy. Every so often she asked, "Are you in pain?" And he replied the same way, "Don't worry about me." As time passed, she spoke softly, her voice barely above the rustle of leaves. "When I left my home, I wanted to see the galaxy for myself. Not as a princess, but as a person. I wanted to walk on a world without guards surrounding me. I wanted to breathe air that wasn't filtered by palace systems." He nodded. "And instead you crashed here." "Yes," she whispered. "But I met you." He slowed slightly. "Is that good or bad?" She hesitated. "Good," she said finally. "You saved me when you had no reason to." "I don't need a reason to help someone," Adrian replied. She looked at him again, studying his face as if searching for something she didn't understand. "Humans confuse me," she admitted. "Our empire always taught us that humans are unpredictable, dangerous, selfish. But you are none of those things. I'm just doing what feels right," he said quietly. Another drone buzzed in the distance. Adrian ducked behind a fallen log and held Lasara close. The drone searched for a moment, then flew away. They waited until it disappeared completely. Lasara's voice trembled when she spoke again. "Adrian, if they find me, they will take me back. I will lose my freedom forever." "I won't let that happen," he said firmly. "You cannot fight an empire," she whispered. "Maybe not," he said, "but I can protect you from the people chasing you right now." She rested against him again, her breathing slow but steadier. "Your world is dangerous, but I feel safer with you than I ever did in my own palace." He didn't know how to respond to that, so he just kept walking. Eventually they reached a rocky ridge overlooking a deep ravine. On the other side was a hidden human safe route used by scouts. If he could cross it, they might reach a supply station by nightfall, but the ravine was too wide. The old rope bridge, once used by soldiers, had collapsed long ago. The only way across was a fallen tree, narrow and slippery from the mist. Adrian looked at it and swallowed hard. Lasara sensed his hesitation. "You cannot cross while carrying me." "I'll manage," he said. "You will fall." "I won't." She shook her head weakly. "You risk too much for me." "Lasara," he said slowly, "you asked me to finish you or free you. I chose to free you. And that means getting you to safety." She stared at him, her eyes reflecting both fear and trust. "Then promise me something." "What?" "If you fall, let me go. Do not lose your life because of me." He tightened his grip on her. "Not a chance." Without waiting for her reply, he stepped onto the fallen tree. Each step was careful, balanced. The drop below was steep enough to kill them both. Lasara clung to him, her breath catching with every shift. The wind brushed against them, cold and sharp. Halfway across, the bark cracked under Adrian's boot. He froze. Lasara's fingers dug into his shirt. He steadied himself slowly, testing the weight. "You can go back," she whispered. "No," he said quietly. "I'm finishing what I started." He moved again, one slow step at a time. His injured arm trembled under her weight, but he held on. His legs burned. His breathing grew uneven, but he kept going. At last, his boot touched solid ground on the other side. Lasara exhaled shakily, her grip loosening. "You did it." "Of course," he said, panting. "Told you I would." They continued toward the supply station. By late afternoon the trees thinned, and Adrian spotted a metal structure camouflaged with vines. Relief washed over him as he approached. The station door recognized his uniform code and unlocked with a faint hiss. Inside, the hidden room was cool, quiet, and filled with emergency supplies. He set Lasara gently on a padded cot. She looked around with amazement, as if the small human outpost was a palace to her. Adrian fetched medical supplies and began tending to her wounds. She winced when he applied disinfectant, but said nothing. "You're tougher than you look," he said softly. "So are you," she whispered. When he finished wrapping her injuries, she looked at him with calm, tired eyes. "Adrian, may I ask you something?" "Sure." "When I whispered those words to you in the crater, did you really think I wanted you to end my life?" "Yes," he admitted. "And that scared me. I did not want death," she said quietly. "I only wanted someone to choose my freedom, even if it cost them something." He sat beside her. "Then I'm glad I made the right choice." She looked at him for a long moment. "You saved my life. And now, I don't know how I will ever repay you." "You don't need to," he said, but Lasara shook her head weakly. "I will." Before he could respond, the station's alarm flickered, a soft red light pulsing on the wall. Adrian stood instantly. "They found us." Lasara tensed. "Adrian," he grabbed his broken blade. "Stay behind me." She watched him stand between her and danger with nothing but half a weapon and all the courage in the world. And for the first time in her life, she truly understood why humans were feared and why they were admired. Because a human like Adrian Hale would fight an empire for a single alien princess. The red warning light pulsed steadily across the small supply station, turning everything inside the room a soft shade of danger. Adrian felt the old familiar rush of battle tension climb through his body. Tightening his stance, sharpening his senses, he moved toward the door, his broken blade clutched tightly. Though he knew it wouldn't be enough against whatever force approached, Lasara watched him with rising fear. "Adrian, you cannot fight them alone." He looked over his shoulder. "I don't plan to. I just need to slow them down long enough for us to escape. You are injured. You can barely stand. I can stand enough." She tried to sit upright, but pain shot through her legs and spine. She winced, gripping the edge of the cot. "If they capture me, my freedom is gone. If they capture you, you will be executed." Kata, 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 kata. Adrian gave a small smile. "Then let's make sure neither happens." The warning light blinked faster. A faint knocking sound echoed through the metal walls. It wasn't the knock of a visitor. It was heavy, mechanical, testing the structure. The enemy had arrived. Adrian whispered, "Stay low. Don't move unless I say." She nodded, though her silver eyes followed him fearfully. He took position near the entrance, crouched behind a half-broken storage crate. His heartbeat slowed as he focused. The hum outside grew louder, multiple drones, and heavier footsteps. Troops, not humans. Their audio signatures were slightly different, sharper, almost rhythmic. The door vibrated once, twice, then a loud metallic voice came from outside. "Princess Lysara, surrender. You cannot escape." Lysara covered her mouth, trying not to make a sound. Adrian whispered, "They can't break the lock easily. This door is reinforced from the old war. It'll take them." The door exploded. The blast wasn't large, but powerful enough to blow the lock apart. Smoke filled the entrance. Adrian shielded his eyes just as 3 armored alien soldiers stepped through the fading smoke. Their armor reflected blue light, and their energy rifles hummed with charged power. They scanned the room quickly. One of them pointed at Adrian. "Human soldier, stand aside." Adrian stood slowly, gripping the broken blade tighter. He positioned his body between the aliens and Lysara. "No." The lead soldier tilted his helmet slightly. "Your weapon is useless. Do not throw your life away." Adrian didn't move. "You want her? You come through me." Lysara's breath caught. Even weakened, she felt his resolve like a burning flame, a human flame. The soldiers took formation, their rifles aimed at his chest. Adrian inhaled slowly. Even if he charged, he was outmatched. But he refused to fear them now. He refused to step aside. Unexpectedly, Lysara suddenly spoke from behind him. "Stop. He is not my captor. He saved my life." The soldiers hesitated. Their helmets shifted toward her voice. "You are injured," the leader said. "We must return you to the capital. Your escape has endangered the Empire. My escape endangered nothing, she replied weakly. Your attempt to kill me did. The soldiers stiffened. Adrian slowly moved one step forward, placing himself even more firmly between her and them. You shot her down, he said. I saw the wreck. I saw the debris. The lead soldier took a step closer, rifle raised. Human. You are interfering with royal security matters. Adrian didn't blink. You tried to kill her. That's not security. That's betrayal. The soldier's rifle hummed louder, ready to fire. But Lysara's voice cut through sharply. Stand down. The soldiers reacted immediately, lowering their rifles but not relaxing. The authority in her voice still held power, even weakened. Princess, the leader said, your disappearance has caused unrest. The Empress demands your return. I will not return in chains, she said. I left because those around me refused to listen. They feared my beliefs, my ideas for peace, my desire for freedom, and now they fear losing control. Your safety is our priority, the soldier insisted. You fired on me, she replied coldly. Do you call that safety? Silence settled in the room. Adrian stayed still, watching their every movement. The soldier finally responded. We acted under orders. Whose orders? The soldiers did not answer. That was answer enough. Adrian stepped forward again. If orders are wrong, you don't follow them. Any decent soldier knows that. The soldiers turned toward him, confused. Honor was different in their culture. Defying orders was unthinkable. Lysara looked at Adrian, then at the soldiers. I will not return until I speak with my mother directly. And until then, I am under human protection. The leader shook his head. Humans cannot protect you. They are powerless in this situation. Adrian's grip tightened on the blade, but he didn't speak. He didn't need to. Lysara raised her chin. This human saved my life when you tried to take it. He protected me without orders, without reward, without knowing me. I choose to stay with him. The soldiers exchanged glances. Their royal protocols did include special clauses, rare ones allowing a princess to claim temporary sanctuary with a foreign protector during crisis situations. It was ancient law, almost forgotten. But it still existed. The leader finally spoke. If you invoke the sanctuary clause, we cannot force you to return. Lysara nodded. I invoke it. Adrian blinked. What does that mean? The soldier answered stiffly. It means she has chosen you as her guardian until her case is reviewed by the Empress. We are forbidden from harming or removing her now. Adrian let out a slow breath. He hadn't expected that. But, the soldier added, as her guardian, her safety is your responsibility. If she is harmed while under your protection, the blame falls on you. Adrian shrugged slightly. I already planned to protect her. The leader observed him, then turned to Lysara. We will report this to the Empress. Until then, the pursuit stops. His voice softened, just barely. But be careful, princess. Those who wanted you silenced will not give up so easily. Lysara nodded. I understand. Without another word, the soldiers stepped back, activated their cloaking devices, and vanished into the forest. Silence returned. Adrian lowered his broken blade slowly, finally able to breathe again. His legs trembled, but he stayed steady. Lysara exhaled deeply. Adrian, you were ready to fight them, even knowing you would lose. I wasn't going to let them take you, he replied simply. You don't even know what my life means to my people. Doesn't matter. You asked me to free you. I'm doing that. Her eyes softened in a way he had not seen before. Humans, you protect, even when you have nothing left to protect with. He chuckled weakly. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just stubborn. She shook her head lightly. No. It is something else. Something rare. He looked at her more seriously. What happens now? They will tell my mother everything, she said. She will demand I return. And if you don't want to? She hesitated. Then, she must listen to me for the first time in my life. and I must stand strong. Ass. Adrian sat beside her cot. Whatever happens, you won't face it alone. Her silver eyes widened slightly. You mean that? Yes, he said softly. You're not just some mission to me anymore. For a long moment, neither spoke. The tension of battle faded, replaced by something quiet and warm. Lysara reached out slowly, her hand trembling, and touched his injured arm. You carried me across a burning forest, she whispered. You stood against my own soldiers. You risked everything when you had no reason to. He gently placed his hand over hers. I had a reason. She looked up at him. What reason? Adrian hesitated, not because he didn't know, but because saying it felt heavier than any blade he had ever held. Because you asked me to choose. And I chose you. Her breath caught, and she looked away for a moment, overwhelmed. I never wanted to control your life. But hearing you say that, it means more than you know. Outside, the sun finally broke through the clouds, its light warming the forest. The alarm light had stopped blinking. Danger had passed for now, but they both knew the story was far from over. Lysara looked at him again, her eyes soft yet steady. Adrian, when this is finished, when I face my mother and the truth comes out, what will you do then? He smiled faintly. Whatever you need me to. She drew in a shaky breath. Then I want you by my side, not as a soldier, not as a protector, but as the one who freed me when no one else would. Adrian nodded slowly. Then that's where I'll be. For the first time since the crash, Lysara felt truly safe, not because she was hidden, not because her enemies had backed away, but because one single human with a broken blade had chosen her freedom above all else. And somehow, she felt strong again, strong enough to face an empire, strong enough to change her fate, strong enough to walk into whatever future waited, knowing she would not walk alone. The quiet inside the supply station lasted only a few minutes after the soldiers left. Adrian used that short window to check the equipment, refill water containers, and tighten the bandage on his arm. His movements were slow, but steady. Pain moved through him like a dull wave. Yet he ignored it. He had lived through worse. What mattered now was keeping Lysara safe. Lysara watched him with calm eyes from the cot. Her breathing was more even now, and some color had returned to her violet skin. She still couldn't stand, but she looked stronger than the night he found her. Adrian, she said softly. Sit. You have not rested since yesterday. He glanced at her and shook his head. I'll rest later. There might be more drones. There will not be, she whispered. I invoked the sanctuary clause. They cannot pursue me for now. He finally sat on a crate near her cot, exhaling deeply. That clause really worked. It is ancient law in my empire, she said. Almost forgotten. But the soldiers cannot break it. Only the Empress herself can overrule it. And she won't, right? He asked. Lysara looked away slowly. My mother is strict but honorable. She will not allow corruption in her court. She will want to hear my side. So we just wait? Adrian asked. Not exactly, she replied. The Empress will send a transport to escort me. It will come soon. Adrian froze. Here? To this station? Yes. And what about me? You will come with me. Adrian blinked. That's allowed? It is required, she answered. You are my sanctuary holder. As long as the clause is active, you must remain close to me. Wait, Adrian said, rubbing his forehead. I'm going to the palace of the Xyrillian Empire? Lysara's lips curved into a tiny, tired smile. Yes. He laughed once, surprised at himself. Great. I thought today might get boring. She lowered her eyes. You do not have to come if you fear it. I'm not afraid, he said simply. Just surprised. She looked at him again, her eyes softening. You are strange, Adrian Hale. And you say that every hour, he replied, smiling faintly. Before Lizara could respond, a soft humming vibration filled the air. The walls of the station trembled. Adrian stood instantly, picking up the broken blade out of habit. Lizara sat straighter, her eyes glowing faintly. "It is my mother's envoy." The ceiling hatch opened with a hiss. A beam of soft white light swept through the space, scanning both of them. Adrian shielded his eyes as the transport descended with quiet grace. It wasn't like human ships, this one moved like floating glass, with soft blue markings that shimmered as if alive. A doorway opened at the bottom, and 3 elite guards stepped out. Their armor was white, not blue like the previous soldiers. These were royal hand-picked guards, trusted directly by the Empress. One of them spoke in a calm voice. "Princess Lizara, we have been sent by the Empress herself to escort you home safely." Lizara nodded respectfully. "Thank you. This human travels with me under the sanctuary clause." The guard turned to Adrian. "Human, you must enter the transport with her." Adrian resisted an instinct to tense. These guards radiated discipline and honor, not hostility. He nodded. "Okay. The guard lifted Lizara gently with a floating gravity stretcher. Adrian walked beside it, but Lizara reached out a hand weakly. "Walk close," she whispered. He moved closer, letting her fingers lightly curl around his sleeve. The transport interior was bright, clean, and silent as a dream. As soon as the door closed behind them, the ship lifted smoothly into the air. For the first time since her crash, Lizara relaxed fully. She sank into the soft support of the stretcher and looked at Adrian with a tired smile. "We are safe now." Adrian finally allowed a long breath to escape his chest. "Good. Because I'm running out of luck." She laughed softly, a fragile, gentle sound. "You have more luck than you believe." The journey lasted longer than Adrian expected. Through the windows he could see the sky shift from blue to deep violet, then to black. Stars scattered across the darkness. The ship entered a slipstream, turning the stars into long streaks of light. Lizara watched him during the trip, her gaze thoughtful. "Adrian," she whispered, "why did you choose me? Truly?" He looked at her quietly. "Because you were alone. Because you were scared. Because you asked me for freedom, not for surrender. And because something in me couldn't walk away." She held his gaze. "You could have died because of me, I know. And yet, you stayed." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than any words. Suddenly, the ship slowed. The stars returned to normal. A massive structure came into view, an enormous palace suspended inside a glowing dome, surrounded by floating gardens and shimmering towers. It was breathtaking. "That's your home?" Adrian whispered. "Yes," she said, her voice soft. The transport landed gently on a wide balcony, made of crystal-like stone. Guards lined the walkway, bowing as Lizara was carried forward. Adrian followed closely. At the end of the walkway stood a tall figure dressed in flowing robes of deep silver and violet. Her presence was powerful, calm, and impossible to ignore. The Empress. Her eyes were the same silver as Lizara's, but sharper, ancient, full of authority. She stared at Adrian first, not with anger, but with curious evaluation. Then her eyes shifted to Lizara, and something like relief touched her face. "My daughter," the Empress said softly. "You are alive." Lizara bowed her head weakly. "Mother, I feared you would be angry. I feared I would never see you again." The Empress replied, stepping forward, touching Lizara's cheek gently. Lizara's eyes filled with emotion. "I only wanted freedom." "I know," the Empress whispered. "I know." The moment was gentle, but short. The Empress straightened, her gaze turning hard. "Tell me who ordered your pod to be shot down." Lizara took a shaky breath. "General Kale." The guards around them stiffened. The Empress's eyes narrowed. "He has gone too far. He wanted to silence me," Lizara said. "He feared my ideas. He feared our empire changing." The Empress turned to her guards. "Arrest him." And bring me every officer who obeyed him." The guards bowed and rushed away. Adrian watched quietly, but the Empress turned her gaze to him again. Her look was sharp, but not unkind. "You," she said. Adrian stood straighter. "Yes, Your Majesty. You protected my daughter at great risk to your life." "She asked me to," he said simply. The Empress studied him. "And you chose her freedom over your safety. I would do it again." Lysara looked at him, her eyes warming with pride. The Empress nodded slowly. "Then the sanctuary clause stands. Until my daughter releases you from your duty, you remain by her side, and you will be treated as an honored guest." Adrian blinked. He didn't expect that level of respect. Lysara reached out her hand weakly, and Adrian stepped closer. She touched his arm gently. "Mother, I want him to stay, even after the clause ends." Note: the Empress raised an eyebrow. "Oh? And does the human agree?" Adrian met Lysara's gaze. Everything they had gone through, fire, danger, fear, trust, it all flashed through his mind in that single moment. "Yes," he said quietly. "I want to stay." Lysara's breath trembled with emotion. A small smile formed on her lips, warm and grateful. "Then, stay with me." The Empress observed the two silently before speaking. "Very well. The human stays." Lysara closed her eyes, relieved. Adrian felt something settle inside him, something peaceful. But the Empress wasn't done. She stepped closer to Adrian. "Human, you carry a broken blade, symbol of choosing mercy over death." Adrian nodded. "It was all I had." "Then let it represent a new start," she said. "Not just for my daughter, but for our empire's future." Lysara reached for Adrian's hand. He took it without hesitation, their fingers tightening softly. For the first time since her crash, Lysara felt fully alive. She wasn't returning as a prisoner or a runaway. She was returning with a protector who had chosen her when no one else did. Adrian looked around the palace, the glowing halls, the guards bowing, the Empress watching with approval, but his eyes always returned to Lysara, the princess who had whispered a desperate plea in a burning crater, and whom he had carried through fire, danger, and fear. Now she wasn't asking him to finish her or free her. She was asking him to stay, and he stayed. Together they stepped into the palace, not as a lost princess and a wounded soldier, but as two lives bound by one impossible choice that changed both their futures forever.